On this episode, I am talking about why more and more parents are ditching gentle parenting. Hallelujah. I've been talking about it for 15 months about how gentle parenting doesn't work. And now you're starting to see within the last 7 months, like 2025, you have now Dr. Becky Kennedy talking about it. You have Gary Vee talking about it. Probably by the time this video comes out, there's going to be a Wall Street Journal article on all about gentle parenting. And I could not be more excited. But I wanted to give you guys my perspective on why more and more people are ditching this gentle approach. What gentle parenting is, what I usually focus in on is it's feelings focused. So we're going to focus on, okay, your feeling. We're going to validate your feelings. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. We're going to avoid punishments and rewards because we want them to be internally motivated. However, that's not really a thing. It is a thing, but there's a lot about that goes into internal motivation versus external motivation. And unless you have like a PhD in psychology or motivation, you're probably not going to understand it or care about it. That's why I wrote the #2 parenting book the way that I did, because people don't care about this, nor do they have the time to care about it. And then the third one is gentle parents usually treat their child as if they are on the same level. And I've talked a lot about each of these kind of three in different YouTube videos. I have some that are specifically on these, but the reason why gentle parenting came about was because for a lot of millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers, we mostly probably millennials and Gen Xers, we experience more militant parenting, like my way or the highway. And so we didn't want that. We wanted our children to be seen. We wanted them to be validated. We wanted them to be heard. And so we swung completely the opposite way. And we're doing much more of the gentle parenting approach. So we're going to focus on your feelings. We're going to validate your feelings. We're going to ask you your opinions. We're going to get rid of punishments, and because those are just icky and yucky, and rewards. We want you to have internal motivation, so get rid of those. And you're going to be my partner. You're going to be on the same level as me. They're authority figures. Get rid of that too. But here's the reason why so many parents are ditching this gentle approach. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And here's 2 reasons why it doesn't work. First of all, parents are getting burned out at higher levels. 5.5 million American parents meet clinical levels of parental burnout. And the reason for that is because it's so different. This approach is so different than the way that we were parented that it's a steep learning curve. We're having to learn we had to throw out how we were parented and kind of combat all of that. And then we have to take on this new approach and we have to try to internalize it, but we don't know all the nuances that go into gentle parenting. And it's just exhausting with everything else that we have on our plates. Extracurricular activities, working, family, all of the things, cleaning houses, all of that stuff. So we're burning out. Where we're forgetting that there's this lovely middle ground called authoritative parenting, where it's high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies. Now, if we're going from that militant parenting, in order to get to authoritative parenting, we just have to make tweaks. We don't have to do this complete mind shift and experience cognitive dissonance, like the discomfort of like 2 competing thoughts. This is how I was raised, but this is how people are telling me that I should raise my children. And that discomfort that comes along with cognitive dissonance, it's just too much. That swing is too much, but we can come to this middle ground. And here's the thing, if we parent using high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies, it leads to the best developmental outcomes anyways, which brings me to the second reason why gentle parenting does not work and more people are ditching it. It's under-equipping our youth and our Gen Z. 46% of Gen Z adults meet criteria for a psychological disorder because they lack coping skills. They don't know how to do things when things get challenging and hard, because when they had big emotions early on in their childhood and they were gentle parented, well, then weren't forced to push through that discomfort and move through it and overcome it. So then they're starting to doubt themselves. And that's where we're starting to see a lot more OCD. And it's not sustainable to only do things when you feel like doing it and to only do things when you're internally motivated to do it. That's why 60% of businesses have fired a Gen Z employee within months of hiring them, because they lack motivation. Like they're like, oh, well, I'm only going to do things if you like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like you should do it because you want money. You want to do things because it value it. You have purpose. All of those things are important. And so that's another reason it's not working. Gentle parenting is not working. I don't know how many rooftops I need to climb to and shout, authoritative parenting is the way to go. It leads to kids who are internally motivated. They're good leaders. They have great social skills. They have great achievement. They can get along. They know the difference between right and wrong. These are the kinds of kids that we want to be raising into adults because this is what's going to move our society forward. So gentle parenting is not where it's at. Authoritative parenting's where it's at. Gentle with high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies. That's how we're going to be throat punching this mental health crisis that we are in. So more parents are ditching it. I'm applauding you. Get rid of that gentle parenting. We don't need it. We don't want it. Get rid of it. More people are going to be talking about it, and I cannot wait for it. So together, by using authoritative parenting, setting high expectations, context of the warm and fuzzies, we're going to be throat punching this mental health crisis. Let's go.